I'm surprised we haven't honestly recorded one accidentally or like started it thinking that it was recorded.
Whenever I do Trade Addicts, I purposely hit it a couple of minutes early, just because once I've done it, where I'm like, I'm done at Dynasty Addicts, and I didn't hit the record button, and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna stop myself from screwing it because I know like it's gonna be that one show where I actually have like some big bad guest on, and we're gonna be like 15 minutes into the show, and I'm like, I never hit the button. We got to start over. You know what? No, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna pretend it's all recording, and then we're just going to pretend my file got corrupted and we lost it. It'll be too embarrassing to say stop now.
Oh, no.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DLF Trade Show. I am your host, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse. He is our co-host, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. I actually just read it off the bottom of the screen this time, so I got it right. This is wonderful that we keep these names up here now. You probably have the entire time. I was just lazy and had Russ up there, though I know my name. Not the point. Hey, so we're back. It's the DLF Trade Show, except we gave ourselves a little bit of a facelift, if you will. Mm-hmm. We're changing format a little bit. Instead of taking one trade and sort of diving at it from a whole lot of angles, what we're going to do is focus more on a player as opposed to a trade. So today we're talking Saquon Barkley. Oh, so big shocker. The Penn State guy picks Saquon Barkley to talk about.
It was your fault. You had him on your little short list.
Oh, I was
just like, yeah,
of
Saquon.
Course. Yeah, no, blame me. It's fine. That's fine.
That's him right here. I don't know if you knew that. That's him right there. It's a photo from Pristine Auction where he's hurdling that Iowa guy. That's one of the plays you probably saw all draft season when he was coming out into the NFL. He hurdled that Iowa guy, got hit mid-air, still landed on his feet, and ran like another 5 yards for the first down. It was amazing. So
I'm sure it was a great moment for you.
It was.
But topic on hand. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a 360 view of a bunch of trades centered around Saquon Barkley. So you're going to leave here saying, okay, well, I want Saquon Barkley, or I want to trade away Saquon Barkley, but I want this in return, or I want to not knock over my microphone while I'm talking. I want to give up this to try and get Saquon Barkley. We're going to give you an idea of how to put that together, because we have this broken down into a lot of little categories, subcategories, micro categories. No, we don't go down that far, but we're going to get into it. We're going to get going. We're going to put this together as we go, because we were trying to figure out how to do this for about 10 minutes before we started recording, until we're finally like, we'll just see how it goes. So yeah, let's see how it goes, right? All right, so we're doing Saquon Barkley, and first, the easiest way to think about trading a position is, how do I get to this player from a player of that same position? So let's start with running back. Well, you label it running back upgrades. Well, this is a player and a pick to get to Saquon, or let's face it, if it works one way, it usually works the other way. If I want to trade Saquon for a lesser running back and a pick, what do I do? Let's start with the first one. It is a 12-team, one quarterback league. We have Antonio Gibson, and this rookie draft, the 2021, has not happened yet. So we have Gibson and the 106 for Saquon Barkley. This comes in on the trade analyzer, 992.3 for the package, and Saquon is 908.9. So we're talking a difference of less than 100 points, which means we're in probably mid-second range, being the difference between the two, early second, mid-second.
Yep, somewhere in there.
So pretty much exactly when you're talking about a player Saquon Barkley's level, that's not a big deal. So I'm sorry, your rookie draft happened already. I can't do this trade. Let's do it one other way. We have a 12-team Superflex tight end premium league where they went DeAndre Swift and a 22 first up to Saquon Barkley. Now, since it's Superflex, the numbers, I should say, in the analyzer have changed a little bit. Saquon Barkley here is 758.8. We have DeAndre Swift, and a 22 first. Swift coming in at 6'10", the 22 first coming in at 253. So we are talking about a difference of 80. We're almost at the same exact value. So Addison, looking at these, Gibson and the 106, Swift and the 22 first, which usually when you're projecting future picks, you put them in the middle anyway, which the 106 is literally the middle. How do you feel about these two trades? Do you think they're good for excuse me, I got so choked up thinking about trading away Saquon Barkley that I just couldn't get the words out. Being the Saquon man you are, how do you feel about these two trades real quick?
Yeah, I think both of these are really, really interesting because they're both, I didn't purposely, go through and try to find picks for running back upgrades from the 2020 running back class, but that just kind of seems to be, the hot topic right now is trying to either get in on the 2020 running backs if you missed out on some of them, getting some of those guys, trading away some of those guys. So that's just kind of really interesting to see how Gibson and DeAndre Swift both in around that RB7 through RB12 kind of territory in ADP. And then Saquon Barkley obviously being like a top 3 running back asset still, even though we haven't really seen him play in like a year or longer just because of injuries and stuff last year, which I think are kind of behind him, fluke injuries. But I like both of these trades from both aspects because I think it makes sense to be able to package Gibson or DeAndre Swift and a mid 2021 first or a future 22 first and get up to Saquon Barkley. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially whenever you attach, a name to the 1.06 in a one quarterback league is probably like Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, somewhere in maybe Javonte Williams, somewhere in that territory in a one quarterback league. And then to be able to go up to Saquon Barkley, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you believe that Saquon Barkley can return on being that top 3, top 5 running back that we saw him be in his rookie season in 2018. So I really, really like that aspect. But I also like it too that, maybe you don't necessarily believe in Saquon. You want to, stay within somewhat of a similar running back tier, still get some similar running back production, drop down to Antonio Gibson and DeAndre Swift. And you and I have said multiple times on this show that we believe that if you're doing a 2-for-1 where you're trading for a better asset, then you need to overpay just a little bit to be able to acquire that asset, which is what's happening here in both of these trades. We're seeing that come to fruition with, maybe a little bit of a mid-second, late-second kind of a difference in value. So I like from both aspects, either if you believe in Saquon and you want to, upgrade your running back and move to him, or if you maybe don't believe in Saquon, you want to drop down, stay within a similar, running back tier, still an RB1 in value and potential production, and gain a little bit in return in terms of a mid first now or a first next year.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, except the only thing I will say before we move on is, man, I don't know if I'm just a little lower on Gibson than whatever brought into the trade analyzer's value of Gibson. That just seems really high to me. Swift and the future first for Barkley, to me, kind of works perfectly. If both directions, if I believe in Saquon, easy, I will send that out. If I don't want Saquon, I would love to pull in Swift in the future first. But when it comes down to that first one, man, like, I don't know what it is. Like, to me, maybe it's the pick is too low. Like, in a one quarterback, maybe I would feel better if it's top 4, 5, if I really believed in Devonta Smith. But you're right. The analyzer has it as it is. I think these are both. I don't think anyone would be sad with any side of these moves.
Right.
And that's what we're sticking on. This isn't about me. It's about all of you. It's about you listening. It's about the people who aren't listening but still care about fantasy football. That's what it's about. So we're going to move on now to the next step in trades. Oh, man, I got Saquon Barkley, but I also have Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. Let's move him for a wide receiver. I know.
Fantastic.
That's exactly right. Exactly. So, of course, we're trading away Saquon Barkley when you have CMC and Kamara. Mm-hmm. God, I'd hate to see the rest of that roster. It's either complete trash or you've won your league for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So let's pull up this first trade, which is a 12-team 1 QB league where it is Saquon Barkley for AJ Brown, the 211 and a 22 third. Okay, so this is AJ Brown for Saquon Barkley. I mean, let's just call this what it is. The trade analyzer has it again. Saquon in a 1 QB is 908.9. AJ Brown 838.6. Now, I'm just going to come in here real quick and say This is beautiful. This is perfect to me. While ADP will have Saquon early, getting a 23-year-old stud wide receiver is the direction you go when trading away Saquon Barkley. You go young, you go upside, you go potential, and you've seen it before. Like, I guess maybe I'm a huge AJ Brown fan as I say this all out loud, because I mean that was just a lot of very good things in a row. So I love this trade, and I jumped in because we're going to go to the next trade first before I ask you how you feel about these. 12-team Superflex tight end premium. By the way, Trade Analyzer has tight end premium now, so all you people out there, check that out. We have again all of these non-essential secondary pieces: Justin Jefferson and JD McKissic for Saquon Barkley. Again, Superflex League numbers are a little different than they were before. Again, pretty much Justin Jefferson for Saquon Barkley. Justin Jefferson comes in at 664.9. Saquon comes in at 758. I gotta be honest, I feel like that's a little low for Jefferson. The way he's going is like the top 3 wide receiver. Like that feels kind of low to me. And again, the perfect swap you want to do when you're getting rid of a stud running back. You want someone who is going to score you points, is going to score you points for a long time. And when you're going with a wide receiver, let's face it, the closer you are to like 27, the closer you are to your value going down, because Dynasty players are going a little crazy these days. So how do you feel about this? How do you feel about AJ Brown or Justin Jefferson? Pretty much, let's just call what it is, straight up for Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to the running back upgrades. I view kind of these pair of trades here in terms of Saquon's value as maybe you are a team that is kind of looking towards rebuilding. You know, you didn't have Saquon Barkley like all of last year. So maybe your team, just because you lost that high priority asset, didn't have a whole lot of production. And so you found yourself kind of more towards the rebuild side, or at least at a higher first for 2021. And maybe you're thinking about, you know, should I kind of blow this up? Maybe I just need a quick reload and can focus on, you know, some other pieces and assets and start getting younger, or try to, you know, stay younger, but move towards more longevity. I feel like this is kind of like the route that you want to go, right? You want to move on from Saquon Barkley, who's dealt with injuries over the past 2 years, albeit, you know, you could argue that they're kind of fluky, and that's not necessarily going to be the remainder of his career path. But, you know, you still can kind of cash out on a younger production, you know, high elite running back in Saquon Barkley, and go for that longevity in AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson. I feel like those are perfect moves to make. If you are a rebuilding team and you do have Saquon Barkley, you're cashing out on that value for more longevity. I feel like it makes a lot of sense if you are, you know, a team that maybe you have a lot of running back depth. Maybe you got really lucky on some 2020 pieces. Maybe you have 3 or 4 guys, not necessarily Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, but maybe you have, you know, 3 or 4 guys, including Saquon, and you need a little bit of help at the wide receiver position. And obviously AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson can both deliver that, and both, you know, could be easily projected to be wide receiver ones in production to join their value in 2021 and beyond, you know, well beyond. So this is just, I think, a really, really good and accurate depiction of what you can get for Saquon Barkley if you're looking at the wide receiver position to trade away Saquon Barkley. Or on the flip side, you have some extra wide receiver depth. I need a running back, you know, move AJ Brown, move Justin Jefferson. You still got a 24-year-old, you know, elite running back in Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2 things. One, I'm going to agree with you because you've had to say it multiple times, and I'm just going to come out here and say I completely agree. First of all, 2 years ago, Saquon Barkley had a high ankle sprain, came back in like a week and a half, and was still putting up damn near 20 points a game.
Yeah,
hurt the entire second half of the season. And ACL tears, just it's crazy to say out loud, they're not a big deal anymore. Like,
yeah,
he's already running. He's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. He's awesome. Every ounce of that offense has gotten better. So I am all about Saquon Barkley. Let me just quick talk about these trades for a second before we move on to, I think, quarterbacks are next. If I'm trading for Saquon Barkley, I love this. I love the idea of being able to just swap pretty much a wide receiver for a running back. Because the 211, the 22-3, and JD McKissic, no offense, JD, you did great with Alex Smith, but that's not the situation anymore. Mm-hmm. If I'm the Saquon Barkley team in this case, I want a usable player. coming back also. Like, I don't want JD McKissic. I want someone like 2 steps above that. Like, hell, even like throw in like a Gio Bernard. Like, I feel like he's always going to have his role. He's always going to be a bye-week replacement if you need it. You're never going to feel good about putting JD McKissic in your lineup. Let's face it at this point.
At this point, I don't know. I might rather have McKissic over Gio.
We know Tom Brady dumps off Fitzpatrick with Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, and Antonio Gandy Golden and Curtis Samuel, and I mean Antonio Gibson. So I know Gio probably wasn't like really the best, but my brain completely blanked. Or like maybe
Chase
just
Edmonds or like a
Miles
perfect. Gaskin or something like
James
that.
Conner, even just to put it on the other piece of that backfield. Like that's the only thing that's bugging me about these trades. From the other side, I do just think I want something back a little better, because even if you look at the calculator, both of these trades have Saquon being not only the highest value piece, but their side is the higher value on both. And what you've said from what we've said every single episode of the show, 2 for 1, you should have to be overpaying for the stud. And neither of these guys did, which, you know, good for them. But we move on. QB trade in Superflex, because let's face it, you're not trading QBs in one QB. We have Josh Allen for Saquon Barkley and Terrace Marshall. Josh Allen comes in at 900, Saquon Barkley 758.8, Terrace Marshall 74.8. Terrace Marshall 70. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that's about right, because we said about 100 points is around that mid-ish second, and Terrace Marshall is around that mid-ish second. So that works about perfectly. I got to be honest. I'd be thrilled to get Josh Allen for Saquon Barkley at this point. I don't know if I would do it the other way around. The value is pretty close. You know, Terrace Marshall to me isn't really valued in this trade. Again, we have another one where it's a nice... Terrace Marshall to me would work better than JD McKissic. Let's put it that way. Throw him up there and I would feel happy about it, because he is walking into sort of that Curtis Samuel role, even though I hate just saying this guy's going to be that guy when he gets there. But, you know, there is room in that offense for him to score. So we're talking about a difference of 92 points. Addison is great at finding these trades that are almost exactly 100 points apart from each other. How do you feel about either side of this? Like, how do you feel about either acquiring or selling Saquon Barkley for Josh Allen?
I think, and I feel like, if we continue on with kind of this pattern of looking at different positions for the one player that we're really isolating down, and we look at quarterback trades, when we get to these elite skill players, non-quarterbacks and Superflex, I really think what this is going to show is how difficult and how expensive it is to buy a quarterback in Superflex. Yeah,
especially, Josh Allen's a top 3 at this point.
Right. And I can throw out, there was another trade that I saw. I tried to keep these all from the past month, within like May, because we're recording this at the beginning of June. There was one right around the NFL draft where it was Saquon for Dak Prescott as well.
I like that a lot better. But yeah, that is a little further back. Though, I mean, hell, Dak could have a good season and he can jump Josh Allen pretty easily. But
I feel like Dak and Josh Allen are pretty similar. They're both in that top 5 dynasty conversation for quarterback. Yeah. They're in that tier with Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. It's like a pretty extensive 6 or 7 quarterbacks that are really, really good for dynasty in that top tier, all basically being taken in the first round of Superflex startups. And then once you get those 7 guys off the board, you're talking about, Christian McCaffrey, and then Saquon Barkley kind of joins the mix. He's a back end first round pick in Superflex, whereas Josh Allen is like a top 3 pick. So I think this just really shows how expensive it is to me to buy a quarterback in Superflex. If you're really hurting, if you want to, take Saquon and turn him into Josh Allen, I would love to do that. And get the Josh Allen side, but there's a lot of people out there and a lot of teams where that might not necessarily make sense. And then on the flip side, selling Josh Allen for Saquon Barkley, you'd almost have to have like a John Hogue QBX kind of approach, where you have 5 starters. Like, you traded up into the first in your startup draft. Maybe you bought low on like Tua or something like that, and now you're looking at like 4 or 5 legitimate starters that, like, not even including like having Drew Lock or Daniel Jones or somebody on your team. And now Josh Allen's kind of, expendable. So you get a high, elite running back asset for Josh Allen. So I don't know. Like this is really rough for me just because it's just I feel like it's so much. Like Saquon for Josh Allen, I can't wrap my head around it, but that's where the value is right now. And the value and the calculator says that it's pretty easily Josh Allen as well.
Yeah, and along the lines of what we always say, you got to pay up to get the better player. To me, there's a quarterback tax in Superflex that if you're trying to acquire one without giving one back, you got to pay a little more. At least, again, that's me. But at least that's also what I see when I'm trying to trade with other people. You know, the safety of that QBX, of having all of those QBs that you can play in case one gets hurt or one goes on a bye or one just has a bad season. You know, having those 2-3 extra is just such a good feeling right up in here that trading one away without getting one back, to me, you're going to have to pay to give me that feeling, that bad feeling in here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So that is all of our equivalency trades, you know, trading Saquon to get this, trading Saquon to get that, trading this to get Saquon. We're going to go to just some, let's just say, not great trades. So we're going to do a bit of an overpay and a bit of an underpay to get Saquon Barkley. Now, this overpay, the more I look at it, the more ridiculous it is, which makes me love it so much. So this is a 12-team Superflex league. All right, listen to this one. Saquon Barkley and Terry McLaurin for AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, and a 22 first. I need to talk about this. Like I normally, you know, I've been trying to throw it to you first, but we pretty much just said Saquon for AJ Brown is pretty close, is pretty good, which means we're selling Tyreek Hill and a 22 first for Terry McLaurin. like this team B, whoever traded away Saquon Barkley and Terry McLaurin might have been Brian Harr. Like, that's what you have to pay to get Saquon Barkley off his team. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, any of these wide receivers should be very close to equaling Saquon Barkley, which again means you're paying a first on top of the other better receiver than Terry McLaurin. Let's call it what it is. I do actually really like Terry McLaurin, but straight up value. I'm not talking physical skill. I'm not even talking microphone in the way. I'm not even talking situation. None of that. All I'm talking about is trade value in the analyzer, ADP, straight up value. These guys are worth more than Terry McLaurin. So absolutely, this 100% fits into the overpay situation.
Yeah. Not even to mention, did you read off what the values were? Like the difference in the ADP calculator or in the trade calculator?
Okay, so no, I did not. Let's do that. Okay, so Saquon Barkley, 762.8. Terry McLaurin, 359.6. AJ Brown, 640. Tyreek Hill, 623, which is a little interesting to me. I mean, that's close enough as it is, but I still have Tyreek Hill ahead. And the 22 first is 253. So even after the package adjustment, this is 1492 to 1122. So that's what, 370? That wait, hold on. Let's scroll up for a second. So that is more than clearly more than a future first, because the future first is 253. If this was magically a 1 QB league, that would be around the 106.
It's actually a 106 in Superflex. I looked it up on the trade analyzer.
There you go.
1 QB, that would be loading. Oh yeah, the picks are the same.
Picks
we had a whole discussion on why the pick values are the same.
So that's the difference of the 106. That's a lot. Like, that's all I could really say. That's like, drop the 22 first and you have a trade that might happen because running backs are held in higher regards when it comes to trade value, especially elite running backs, which you've heard both of us say we still believe Saquon Barkley is. All right, so let's wrap up this show with our this underpay. Like, I saw this trade, I'm like, ugh. All right, so this is a 12-team Superflex tight end premium. I'm going to emphasize the tight end premium to make it seem like it's somewhat better, but it's not going.
It's a 2 PPR tight end premium as well.
I still don't care. If it was a different tight end, maybe. All right, so this is Saquon Barkley and Mohamed Sanu. Wow, 0 points. Poor Mohamed Sanu.
What a throw-in, right?
Right, for Mark Andrews and Myles Gaskin. So we have Saquon Barkley coming in at 895. We have Mark Andrews in tight end premium, because that's on the trade analyzer now, at 334.6. Myles Gaskin, 161. So we are talking 496 for 895. We are talking for almost half price getting Saquon Barkley. No premium is that good. let me bang my desk as I say that again. No premium is that good. The only people you should care about that premium, Kelsey, Kittle, Waller. And if you want to hold on to the idea of upside, I'd throw Hawkinson in there.
Hawkinson.
That's honestly
probably as well.
I still can't.
We
can spend hours.
Perspective of Pitts.
Yes, I could spend hours talking about Pitts' value versus what Pitts' value should be versus what Pitts' value can be, and we're not here for that. We're not here for that. We're here to talk about Mark Andrews and Myles Gaskin for Saquon Barkley and Mohamed Sanu. Actually, I don't even think we should really talk about this. If you can do this, go for it. If you have Saquon Barkley, you should not be selling him for this. We wanted to sort of, the reason we did this is because, well, people ask, let's be honest. We listened to our viewers. Our viewers said, we want trades from every single angle. And for us, that also means what you might get seen throwing at you and what you might actually consider, because Mark Andrews has that title of being one of those tight ends that you can depend on in a tight end premium, especially. Tight end premium means nothing to Mark Andrews. He is not he's not a volume guy. He is purely based on efficiency, and that's going to be rough. That's going to be rough to count on, and it doesn't help in a premium at all unless you get points for efficiency, in which case Mark Andrews is great. But still, if you have Saquon Barkley, I'm not moving him for a tight end that isn't those 3 to 4 names that we mentioned. And I need someone better than Myles Gaskin. Let's put that easily. He might have the job for this year, but sooner or later, they're going to go draft a running back that will be their stud, because Myles Gaskin ain't that guy. He's good. I mean, but is Savon Ahmed that much worse that he's not going to, steal half the carries? We don't know. So okay.
I'm a big Gaskin fan, but I recognize the 2021 only appeal.
Well, so I like the idea of Gaskin just because I'm a Seahawks fan and he went to Washington, so I'm supposed to like him because usually Seahawks end up with Washington players. I think I talked about this on the last show we did. But again, that's a bad trade. Don't do that. Sorry if you're listening for the guy who did do that. I got nothing for you. Keep trading, man. Make a better one to make up for the bad one. But this has been the newly formatted DLF Trade Show. Let us know how you feel about it. If you like this, if there's any other sort of twists and turns you want us to throw in here, or if we should just keep doing the same, or I can't think of anything else clever that you want us to do. So on that note, I am Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse. He is Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. DLF is awesome. Check it out in every way, shape, or form. Bye, everybody.